kiss for you.
Alright, today we're looking at Umamusume, and you are going to be as surprised as I am to find out what this game actually is and how good it is. So, if you read the title, obviously, this is a roguelike sports management game in the style of something like F1 Manager or Football Manager, but you're obviously racing horses with a very good roguelike kind of progression wrapper on it. And the reason I'm showing live gameplay at the moment is because the best way to describe this game is by showcasing live gameplay of what the game actually is, because if I just talk to you about the game, it's not going to make a ton of sense. So in most games like this, your primary form of progression is going to be career mode, so let's just start it right there. And your objective, as you can see from the screen here, is that you are trying to beat the or a finale as like the final race, right? And pretty much the way that this game works is it's all stat and enhancement based. So you'll, as you can see, have your different horses, different options here, and they'll have different stats. They'll have speed, stamina, power, guts, and wit that you start as a baseline and then increase as you continue on your run. And then you have different kind of aptitudes for things like track, turf, and dirt, distance, sprint, mile, medium, and long, and style, and they all have letter grades to them, and those obviously determine how well each horse can do at everything. So for instance, in this one, as we're looking through them, and you're trying to see, okay, which one's a good starting point, and for me, let's pick McQueen here, and you'll see that they have a higher stamina and higher guts, and their proficiencies are as follows. So I'm, kind of want to do there, hit next. This is kind of where the roguelike elements come in terms of your legacies. So your legacies are pretty much, once you've gone through this, used your character, gone through all the races and objectives, they'll effectively complete their career. And then two things happen. One is you can then choose them as a legacy to boost your new characters, and two is you have this little team thing here in the top left, and this is effectively for like the PvP stuff where you can create a team of veterans and battle other people. So the primary way for roguelike elements, at least, is this legacy system that is very good at sort of incremental improvements. So we'll just select the first one here, and as you can see, your scores below here are basically how many runs you have done with whatever characters you have. And so in this case, I'll just pick a high one here, and we'll select another legacy, and we'll pick another high one here. Let's pick this one. And you can see there that they add stats. So they add speed, power, wit to this one, and it has a decent spread of them. Let's go back to the menu here. And then, you can auto-select. You can also do guess. So if you follow people, you can do that. And this legacy thing is how you do the incremental progression. Once you finish one and get a score, you can then use that to boost your other person here. We're going to hit next. The other thing is supports, and these are mostly stat improvements as well as friendship improvements. And these things, as you can see, improve stuff like speed and power and stamina, because these are the main stats here, these five. And these cards effectively just help you out with that. They also may have other effects like increasing the friendship rating, which allows you to gain additional stats. So it's all kind of stat based and enhancement based. So let's just pick one here, start career, yep, and then showcase how this works. And so pretty much what you're going to start off with is a lot of this game that isn't the career mode is like a visual novel-esque thing. Luckily, you can skip all of it. So if you don't want to bother, you can just hit skip, shorten all scenarios here, hit confirm, and then you start the thing. I'm just going to fast forward through these, and you'll kind of see how it works. You're getting stats here. You have 11 turns to reach the next goal. It goes through all these things, right? And then we're at the main screen that you're going to see. And this screen has a variety of things: training, skills, recreation. And you're just your objective here, obviously, is to get these stats as high as possible, because if you go to details, you can then see in the race, your info about the race. And this is really where the game comes into its own for roguelike elements. Everything you see here, from the length of the track to the type being medium to right, inner, it being summer, it having a weather effect at some point, the gate you're in, and as well as the kind of type of course it is, Hassa and Turf, for example. These are all factors that play into how well your character is going to do. Because, as we'll get to the skills section in a minute, as you see here, there's a lot of skills, and these are just the ones you start off with. So, for instance, we can go back and check the details of this race. This is a medium race, right? So we're going to want to choose skills that benefit medium. This benefits long, so might not be as advantageous. Let's do performing well in the summer, right? So you do that, you learn that skill. And these skills are effectively all passive, meaning you're not actively using them. What they do is they really allow the kind of variability that you like to see in roguelikes. They allow that variability while also being sort of predictable. The best thing this game does is have a very good balance between being predictable and being surprising. More so than most games, I would say. I think most games, like Hades, for instance, I think is a little bit too predictable. Something like Slay the Spire, for me, is a little bit too random. So this kind of marries the two really well in terms of like how well you can actually do predicting, predictions-wise. Like this, I can prepare my character for a 2,000 meter medium right inner sunny race. Right, like I can go here and okay, so it's a medium distance, right? So we're probably gonna want some stamina here. Click on stamina. It gives you some numbers. It lowers your energy right there. And then, you're also probably going to want speed for something like this. You do speed, goes there, and as you can see, the timer ticks down there. And then you get some choices. So in between your training, you'll get these choices. And the first one is usually like the easiest option. I'll click the second one, and you can see I increase my stats here. And that's just kind of good. You're going through this thing, you're training your stats here, and a lot of the time you'll have like this reminder button. That will increase your friendship level with the cards you selected before, your support cards, right? And those support cards, the higher you get up, the higher benefit that Guts, for instance, will give you, or speed in this case. So in this case, it's a 5. If this gets up to like here, in terms of like a gold area, which is very good, you'll see Guts giving you more speed, that kind of thing. And this is really nice because it lets you set those up, right? You can set up the support cards. You can set up the way your legacies work. You can predict and figure out where you're going to be playing from and then use that to affect the skills you have, right? Like there's a lot of ability for you to control what's happening. And then we'll get into a race and I'll show you how that works. Because the second part of this is the quality of the racing, which is very high. I'm actually quite shocked about how high the quality of the racing and just how it's able to do that. So let's just finish this up. And then obviously, your energy is low, so the chance of failure, you got to rest. And that brings you back up. And a lot of these are random. But one thing that I think is quite interesting that I was like surprised at is every single horse, so McQueen for instance, has their own objectives. So in this case, it's the debut race is always the same. And then it's like earn 3,000 fans, place top, place top, place top, place top. In this case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. And then you get the ending. This is relatively low. Some other characters have like 11 objectives, and they're usually in like the placements, but sometimes it's earning a bunch of fans. It's just running in certain races. Like there's a lot of variability here when it comes to the different options. So not every time you do this will you have these same objectives, which works quite well with giving you that variety, right? And as you see here, what you'll do is sometimes on top of stats you'll get things like hints, and hints are effectively ways to cheapen the cost of your skills. They're effectively like discounts for your skills. So as you can see now, hint level 10% off, hint level 10% off. That is now a little bit cheaper than it would be normally. And this is how you get the very good skills that may take considerably longer to do. So you go through all these. You do want skill points. You kind of want to balance, right? So like a lot of you'll figure out as you go along which ones are better for balance and which ones aren't. Like some things you can ignore and some things you can't. A lot of the time, like speed and stamina are always going to be good, but you have to kind of balance that, right? Which is something that I think is quite good and quite impressive, especially for a mobile game, that it has the forethought to like actually balance things out and be like, you can't just like go straight into speed and then beat everything, right? It's quite subdued. We win 30%. We win 30%. So there we go. So you get there, you get some stats, you get friendship level up. You get those level up with the director, and then you can improve the endpoints there. So each of your 5 things can level up. All right, so now we're at a race, so we'll show how that works. In this case, we're going to check it. Medium, right, inner, sun, firm, ground. So we'll go to skills. Does anything give us firm ground? No. We cannot afford anything other than moderately increase when at least 5 other runners are using the same strategy. And we'll talk about strategies in a sec, but I suspect we're going to be doing that, so we'll get that skill. All right, now it's race day. And you can use this little prediction thing, and this prediction thing will tell you, if you're a top contender or not with these little icons. If you have an X, that means it's below. If you have a triangle or a filled-in triangle, it's like getting up there. A circle here is pretty good, and a double circle is the best. So in this case, it says you're going to be a top contender. Important to note, these predictions are most of the time wrong because they don't take into effect any skills you have gained throughout this. So let's just enter this race real quick. I don't believe I've set the race up to be landscape because I can't access my menu to do that. So you can see our stats, you can see our skills. If we go to the skills tab, you can click on these to figure out what they do. And then you can check mood, your aptitude for certain things, your stats, and then your strategy. And these strategies are pretty simple, right? Conserve stamina until the very back end and close the gap at the end. Head back towards the middle of the pack before surging ahead. Close to the pace and then surge ahead, or be in front. In this case, our A is with pacing, so we'll choose that. And you can also check the other runners. So if you're like, oh, what are my stats compared to everyone else? You can check everyone else's stats and everyone else's skills as well, their mood, what their strategy they're using. Now, obviously, at this point, you can't change anything you're doing, but you can see how you are compared to the competition. You can view results, which will just skip to the end of the race, or we can race, and this is where we can select landscape. So I'll select landscape here because it's a little bit more cinematic. So as we go into a race here, you'll be able to see and kind of figure out that this is where the fun part. Now, these are auto. You don't have any like skills or active things you can do, but it is quite fascinating to watch this happen, especially because, as you'll see as we go along here, it's quite in-depth in terms. It's not just like you have the best stats, you're going to win, right? And so we'll start off here. What this really showcases is the level of detail they went into in terms of making it look exciting. This looks like a pretty slow race, obviously, because we're just starting out. But like when it gets ramped up, it really starts getting ramped up. And you'll see, like, you might have the best stats, and you'll get like a rush start. And a rush start, a lot of the time, your skills, like your ultimates that you can have, don't actually work that well if you like falter beforehand. So if I get a rush start, and like I can't use my ultimate then to pass a bunch of people, the other characters here could have a skill that's like if you pass 3 runners, you get your skill and you can push ahead, right? So me faltering, not being able to get my ultimate, means they can pass me and activate their skills and then get further behind, right? But the best part is that it feels pretty natural when that happens because it's not super frequent and it's not super predictable when that happens. So it really does feel like every single race you have an opportunity to be in the top bracket, right? So like right now, it looks like I'm number 3. I'm not, I'm pretty far behind the other ones, but remember, I'm pace. And I don't think I faltered so far. So I'm going to get my ultimate, and it's going to zoom ahead in a second, and then we'll be number 1. So that kind of dynamicism is really what makes this game shine, and really what makes it interesting to watch. Because, like, yeah, you're not really doing anything, right? Like, I'm talking over it, but you're just kind of watching the race happen. But, like, here I come, here it goes, we're at the end here, there's the ultimate, you watch the little animation happen, and then it goes through a cutscene, and you zip on through. And some of these races, like, this probably isn't going to be close at all, but some of these races are very close, to the point where, like, oh my god, it's not gonna make it. And then it just zooms right past, and you made it. And they do a really good job of kind of, like, getting that anticipation well, and kind of, like, making sure that it's close and not too far. So, like, right now, oh, we're almost there, are we going to pass? It looks like we're going to pass. And like that's just the start. So in this case, we did very well. It wasn't a very close one, but there's a lot of others that end up being very close. And so you do have to watch and figure out, what are your skills? What are you kind of hoping for here? Any of that. You get this little animation that shows, 1, and then you'll go on and you can see so at least on PC, you can see all the support cards here. This little bubble at the top will say like, hey, you got to improve like your speed or your power or something like that. And then you get fans. And so that's kind of the loop. Is you're training up, you're going through this thing, you're getting ready for the next race, right? Completing goals. And then when you're done with that, you'll go into the career and effectively then boost up things for other legacies. So let's just back out of this real quick. And that's mostly how the gameplay loop of this game works. And the best part is that not only is this gameplay loop very nice, but as you saw there, it was a continuous trek. There's not like, oh, you go, and then you have to like take a break so then you lose all your progress. It's not like Returnal or other kind of ones where it's very intense, or Hades, where like if you can't do it in one sitting, it's over. Like, no, I saved and quit, and I can go back there, whenever I'm interested in it. Cancel. Right? So like you don't have to go through an entire career all at once. You can kind of just play around with it for a little run or two and then exit out, and it will be saved, so you can always go back to it when you feel like it. The other thing in terms of racing, the other mode is the normal race mode. You have room match, you have daily racing, you have your PvP, which is the race trials, and then you have any racing events that you have. And then we'll talk about, I guess, the second thing. So as I mentioned before, when we were looking at the Legacies, the Legacies are effectively, once you complete one of these, you get 2 things. The Legacies, which we already talked about, and the PvP, which is this thing here. And this takes your Legacy runners, in this case I have 2 slots here, takes them, puts them wherever they're best, so in this case for medium, You can see medium is highlighted here. It's an A, so this character here is the best for A, and they got a total score of 5,500 right here. And all the total scores add up to your main score of 33,000, and then you can go into the PvP racing in this section here and figure out, where you stand. In this case, I am in 202,000th place, and you can check in your division class 2, the top runners 320,000 for all time. I assume this means globally, or at least, probably globally it's 500,000. So you can do that. You can edit team, do a team race, and the team races are pretty similar to the other races. So I'm 33,000. Let's pick on this 30,000 one, and this is kind of your reward for doing all the other career stuff. Is now you get to do some PvP. Now, similar to other games like maybe let's say FIFA or like FC or NBA or something like this. This could be considered the what's it called? Like Ultimate Team mode, I guess. We'll view the race here. This could be considered like an Ultimate Team mode, which is I guess many people will say maybe like the pay-to-win option. There is, in terms of monetization, you can do like a sub thing where you pay $7 a month to get what are called Carats, which are the premium currency and all that. But it's not really a thing you need to worry about, especially considering how easy it is to get pulls in this game and what the pulls actually mean. Like, you oftentimes do not need to worry about like the best support cards, right? And getting the best support cards or getting the best horses. In fact, a lot of the time, it's actually best to not try and get all the horses, because at least so far in the early game, there isn't like SSR, like perfect cards for a lot of the options, and it's quite hard to get a lot of those. So like for sprinting and dirt, for instance, and I believe this one is one of those, as you can see, a G+ here. So I think this one's my dirt, my sprint. These are my sprints. So you can see that my sprints aren't that high. C+ and G+, these are not that high. I haven't trained them a lot. But their SSRs for those are quite hard to get, and some of them aren't even out yet. So you really have to wait and see and figure out, what you're trying to get to here, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to only train the SSRs. You can train the lower end ones, and that will absolutely improve, your capacity for improving the PvP. Like, you don't need to grind only SSR horses and SSR cards. A lot of the 1-star, 2-star horses are absolutely capable of doing that, and it's actually good to do that because it kind of rounds out things and gives you a second option, as you can see here. Once you unlock Class 2, which is doing some PvP a little bit, Class 2 basically lets you put in more options. So instead of being effectively gridlocked, because you can only have one horse per each thing, you get more options here. So it is nice to just kind of grind out the stuff that you don't really care about, because it does help you eventually. So that is there. You can see the final score. You click next. These take a little bit, so most of the time I just click see results, and it will do this little animation. In this case, I lost that one. Let's go to the next one. In this case, I'm losing. Oh no, this is not good. See results. I win. Okay. I need to win this next one. I should win this next one. Yeah. Okay, we're good. I think I probably lost that, unless I won that. Okay, so I won the first one. 1 in 12, I guess the 12 overrides the 1. So you get that, you get some achievements, you unlock some story stuff, and that's kind of the last thing here. The last kind of mode is the story stuff. And this is actually, interestingly, where a lot of the negative points come in, not from me personally, but from a lot of people, because this game is sort of based on existing property. Already there's a lot of story and a lot of lore to these characters, and that is something that people take very seriously, clearly. And a lot of people are not very happy with, or people are very happy that give it the time to that, but like, it seems like a lot of the expectation for the story in this game is that it's like something it's not. So you can go to the story tab, obviously, and you have a main story, and this is 18 chapters for chapter 1 of the main story. You have your side story, and this is 7 chunks for the 27 characters that are here. In that case, if you've done the math, that's 190 just starting out. These are pretty, what are they? We'll just try one here. They're visual novels, right? But I read them, or I tend to read them, because they are actually trying to be a story with these characters. So if you want to get attached to any of these characters, you can read this stuff. And as you can probably hear, hopefully the background music and stuff isn't too loud. I have like -20 on the decibels here. So like, hopefully this thing's not too loud. But it's fully voice acted. Now it is in Japanese, or Chinese, I believe, but it is fully voice acted, which is very nice. The other thing and this may be a benefit to you or not. There is a Chinese client of this game as well. So if there's a concern over it becoming like infested with bots or like one certain dominating meta or anything, there is multiple clients for this game. So while this is technically the global release of this game that initially released in Japan, there is other clients for other regions. So it's not like you're going to be bombarded with a bunch of like bots because this is a free game, right? So all that. These take about, I think I've timed them. I think if you're just reading it, it takes about 3 to 4 minutes, and there's 189 of that, so it's about 10 hours of just side stuff, not including main stuff. Main stuff, I'd say it's probably an extra 2 hours, so you add that, or even more, and then you have the event stories, which are obviously going to be... this is quite loud, so let me just skip it. I typically read these, but clicking on the button is being picked up on the mic, and it's quite irritating, so I'll just skip it for now. And you get poll currency for this. So this is like not just, oh, we're doing it for fun. You get poll currency for doing that, as well as the top part here. You get poll currency for that. You can check event missions, collect all. You'll collect these prize tokens, which you can be using for the prize derby and all that, and collect prizes. And then you have, obviously, the scouting stuff. So the two main modes are the career, right, which then goes into the PvP, racing or daily racing, and then the kind of visual novel aspects. But the thing that kind of jumped out at me was the quality of this roguelike mode that I didn't actually realize was roguelike until I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really, like, well put together option for roguelike. Obviously, because it's a gacha game, you do have your, gacha stuff, you have your paid currency here, and you have your poll currency. I have enough of here where I'm probably just going to do one of these. There is a new one coming in 2 days or so. Yep, 2 days. And that's just kind of how the gacha system works. So you do that. You can see, what benefits you're going to get here. Skip that. And I got 4 gold. So I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to scout again because I am waiting for the new card. So what I like about a game like this is that a lot of the time gachas, and I'll talk about this in my ZZZ video, a lot of the time they have a bunch of extraneous things that detract from the main thing you're doing. This game doesn't. The main thing you're doing is that sport management, improving your stats, to do better in races, to get more fans, to complete the career, to improve with the legacies, your character, and boost them up and all that, right? And that's what you're doing in the enhanced section as well. All these extra systems are in service of the main system, right? It all feels connected. You're going... Potential level is using your rewards here and increasing the level, which increases the potential skills you can unlock for each of those characters. Your star unlock is getting enough star pieces to increase your star rating, which, as you can see, is a pure boost in stats. So this is like the longer term progression stuff for each of the characters. Your star piece storage, any extras can convert to other things, and then you can check your trainees here. And same thing with the support cards. You can level these up. They have a support bonus generally, so it is good to kind of update cards that you're not actually going to be using, like these ones, because they do enhance the support bonus here. And this is obviously a small amount, right, 0.61, but as you continue to do that, this gets higher and higher, and it does unlock benefits, especially later on. Last part here is the shop. So we go into the shop, and there's a bunch of options for exchange. Clubs is effectively your clan or your guild or whatever you want to call it, contributing to that, and then you can unlock star fragments there. Friend points are, as you saw before with the cards, if you give your stuff away, like if people follow you and use your horse as their legacy, which you can do, you pay them a little bit of money. They're called monies, and then you're able to get friend points. And those friend points, for instance, can be used to unlock a whole bunch of stuff. So in this case, usually I would pick something like one of these banners, so I'll just exchange here. Statues are things you normally obtain when you have duplicates of stuff, so this is kind of your exchange. I will take 14 of these. A star unlock, and as you can see, I'm at 110 now. So I'm almost a good chunk halfway there to being able to level you up. And as you can see, that increases it by a decent chunk there. So that's kind of like the progression system of the game. I haven't seen a battle pass in this game, which I think is quite surprising. If you go to purchase Carats, you have your standard stuff here. This is the $7. Oh, it's going to access a page. Okay. This is like a $7. It's, I think, 50 free one for 30 days. So that's 1,500. So that's a 10 pull. And then there's some paid, 500 paid, I believe, which is a couple pulls. I think that's 10 other additional pulls for about $7. As the daily pack, that's effectively a monthly thing, not because you have to pay for it monthly, but because the value of it is given over 30 days, over a month. A couple starter packs, 1,500 carats for 14, so that's about how it factors out. Personally, as I've mentioned before in these games, it is not efficient most of the time to just buy these things. It's way more efficient to just use what you have. Like right now, I've done like 50 or 60 polls, and I still can do 2 more 10 polls. Like it's a very generous system, at least so far for that. Let's just go through here. And so I think in terms of the gacha elements, even though I'm not like a super big player of these things, I can understand that the gacha here is pretty generous and it works pretty well in terms of like making sure that you're not absolutely behind. The other thing, oh, wrong, so I will just collect here. The other thing is that you don't actually need like all your top tier stuff. Like the top tier character you can get is SSR, and then you can boost them into higher start levels, right? To 4 and 5. But they start at 3, meaning they start at whatever level you just saw at the beginning. So they're not going to be like crazy better or crazy different or anything. They're pretty normal. So you know you're not going to get like paying to win in this game is like paying for these things. Like I have 4 SSRs and I'm free to play, right? Let's just go to veteran list. I have 4 SSRs, right? We have Majuro is an SSR. We got Rudolph is an SSR. We got Bourbon is an SSR, and Special Week's an SSR. And all those 4 I got for free. I had to exchange 1 for the ticket, but you get those, right? So like, it's not a huge deal to do that. It's pretty easy, and it's not a problem there. And because they're stat-based, it's not like you getting a high-tier SSR is like magically better. Like it just isn't. Sometimes it can be a little bit beneficial in terms of just like baseline stats, but you can absolutely, and sometimes it's even easier a lot of the time because, as I remind you, each of these have their own objectives. Like McQueen here has the objective of, and it's in her story, like specific objectives, I don't remember at the top right now, that sometimes are harder than the ones for the lower end ones that like don't have as hard of a thing. Like I think Special Week or one of them is a SSR is a good example where like they want to do a mile run, but they're not set up for mile. I think it might be her actually. They're not set up for mile, but they want to do mile runs. So they do mile runs. You're not set up to do that, so you're going to do worse than those, but you still need to place well because that's their goal, right? So you get a lot of those things. Hopefully, I've explained things decently enough and talked about the loop and sort of how it works and all the systems that are at play here. It's a really fantastic game. It's really addictive in terms of just the quality of the roguelike elements and playing it, that kind of thing. You don't have to play it every day or anything. Obviously, it's free on PC and mobile. You can use the data link here to link it. A couple downsides, I guess. Tutorial is kind of annoying, especially because you have to go through it in order to link your data. It does talk about all the systems, but it's in a very weird, like you don't know the context for anything yet, so it kind of becomes pretty annoying. And the other thing is this PC client that I'm on here is not that good, as you can see. The game does take place in a portrait vertical orientation, so you have all these like extra things here that's like not important. Like agenda, not here currently. Item request, not available currently, right? These things are not options. So you have like a massive chunk, half of my screen being taken up by stuff that's not the main game. So those are, I guess, 2 downsides, the tutorial and the big thing here. So I would just say if you're like annoyed that the PC version looks like this, you can, on your phone. The other thing, this game's not that big. It's like about 10 or 11 gigs, which is larger than, some other games I've talked about, but considerably smaller than something like Wuthering Waves, which is like 25 or 30, or Genshin, which is like 45 at this point. So it's definitely good to have it here. I would probably recommend this on mobile because it is a mobile-first game. I will say, however, that right now, the quality of the characters and how they're upscaling is quite impressive. So it does work well. All these things are scaling correctly. Like none of this looks like low quality or low res. So it is scaling correctly with mobile, but it is scaling correctly with PC, but it is a mobile-first. If you're interested in any of these things and want to see more like live gameplay or live demonstrations, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, do all that, and I'll see everyone in the next video.